Welcome, children. We take up the fourth stanza today. There is nobody on the housetops now, just a palsied few at the windows set. For the best of the sight is all allow at the shambles gate, or better yet, by the very scaffold's foot, I trow. There's nobody on the housetops now. There is nobody on the housetops. The people in the beginning of the poem, we have seen that many people gathered on the housetops, roofs, wherever they could get a clear view of the Patriot. But now there is nobody who is trying to catch a glimpse of the Patriot. Just a palsied few at the windows set. Palsied few, actually, it means those suffering from paralysis. But here he means to say those disabled who cannot walk or cannot move properly, disabled people, they reach the window because they cannot come out of the house. So they reached the window and they were trying to have a glimpse of the Patriot. Now, here, he's no more a patriot. He is not a celebrity. He is not a hero. So only the ones who cannot travel to the spot of execution, he'll be taken to one place where he will be executed. Those who are crippled, so they stare outside their window to get a look at the Patriot. But the best of the sight is all allow. They want to have the clear picture, how the Patriot looks, how he is being taken, all these things to have a clear view. They come to the window to see. Where are the others? The others. Shambles gate, at the shambles gate. Shambles gate is actually the gate leading to the place of execution. Or better yet, by the very scaffold's foot, I trow. And others, to have a better look, they have gone to the place where there will be a wooden platform, raised platform, which is used for execution. When a person is to be hanged or he has to be beheaded, that place. He says, I trow, I think, I believe. Trow is a old usage, old English you can say. So, all the others, the picture is quite contrasting. In the beginning of the poem, we find that they were near the buildings, walls, rooftops, such places where they could have a clear view. But now they are not there. They are in the place where he will be executed. So we find that the scene shifts from the happy one in the beginning to the place where he will be put to death, near to the gallows. And we find the Patriot also speaks in a sarcastic tone. He says that why they are not here on the buildings? They are near the gallows so that they can have a better view, clear view of what is going to happen. In this stanza, we get a contrasting picture between the time when the people gathered on the rooftops and they heaved and swayed, you can say, celebrating the Patriots' good deeds. And presently, all the people have gathered. Where have they gathered? They have gathered near the gallows to see how he will be put to death. Who will be put to death? The patriot. The patriot's anguish is seen here when he taunts the people, saying that they will not be found on the rooftops, but they will be found on the site of execution. Now we come to know what is the fate of the patriot. Now he is being taken to the execution. He will be executed. So let us see what small questions we can form out of it. Why is it that there is nobody on the housetops now? In this extract we see there is nobody on the housetops because no victory rally is taking place in the street. Now all the action will take place near the gallows, so nobody is here. For example, when the teacher is teaching you in the class, you will be gathering there, you will be seated there, but you find that the match is going to take place in the ground. All will gather there, so everybody wants to see where the action is taking place. So therefore you find all the people who were gathered on the roads 1 year back, they all are gathered near the place where they will be executed. So, and the gate of the gallows is known as Shambles Gate. And some of them are very near to the platform where he will be executed, so that they can have a better view. And who are the people whom we find at the windows? Those who are affected by paralysis or some ailment, some disability is there. Such people who cannot go near the gallows, they all have assembled near the windows. They all have gathered near the windows to have a view. Shambles Gate, as I told you, is a gate leading to the site of execution of the patriot. We find that this particular stanza is in contrast to what has happened 1 year back. What happened 1 year back? Everything was bright, colorful, flags were fluttering. But now the things are totally opposite. The atmosphere is dark, the atmosphere is gloomy, and no longer we find the people have gathered on the streets. And the sky also seems to be cloudy. It's raining. Atmosphere is tensed. So everything is in contrast. I go in the rain, and more than needs, a rope cuts both my wrists behind. And I think by the feel, my forehead bleeds. For they fling, whoever has a mind, stones at me for my years' misdeeds. I go in rain. Now the things have changed. It's raining now. The patriot is being led to the gallows in the rain. When you take a criminal, what do? We tie both the hands at the back so that he doesn't react. The same way, his wrists are tied up tightly behind his back with a rope which cuts the skin of his wrist, and we find he can feel a rope cuts both my wrists behind, and I think by the feel my forehead bleeds. When even water is trickling on your forehead, When the rain falls, rain drops, slowly they come down. That time you can sense it, even though your eyes are closed. The same way, here he can feel the blood trickling down his forehead, but he is unable to know. He wants to make it sure whether it is because he was walking in the rain, whether it is rainwater or blood trickling. But he feels it is blood. The reason is, you see, for they fling whoever has a mind stones at me for my years' misdeeds. Because people have thrown stones at him. So there are more chances for him to bleed. So all the people who are standing by the side of the path, along the path, they started throwing stones, and that is the result of his wounds on his body. And now, after 1 year, everybody feels, all the countrymen feel that he has done something wrong. So they punish him for the misdeeds of past 1 year. What it is not known. People generally forget the good things you do. Although he was a patriot, maybe he fought for the country, all those things are forgotten. They only remember the present. The past is completely forgotten. So, as his hands are tied up, he cannot touch and he cannot make out whether it is water or blood coming. But he feels it is blood from the forehead because people have thrown stones at him, stone pelting, you can say. And because of that, maybe he's wounded, and that is the reason the blood is oozing out of the wounds. Here we find a clear picture is given to us to show that how the patriot is being taken from the place from in the rain to the gallows to be executed. It's a very pitiable situation because it is completely in contrast with the first two stanzas. Here, the patriot also feels that there is some change in the attitude of the people. What is the change in the attitude of the people? That he is being punished for the misdeeds that he has committed in the past 1 year. What misdeeds? What are the deeds which he has done a mistake? What are the deeds? It's not known to us. The clarity is not given to us about the reasons, but he only gives how he feels shameful, how he is being led. Imagine 1 year back, the same person was given a grand welcome. Flowers were thrown on his way, on his path. And now stones are thrown. How shameful an individual would feel if in that place. 1 year back, you are treated like celebrity, you're treated like a hero. And after 1 year, you're treated less like a criminal. Why there is so much of change? We find a lot of change in that, in the people. The patriot is being taken along the street as a traitor. In the beginning, he was a patriot. He was considered a patriot. Now, his hands are tied at the back. His forehead is bleeding. At the same time, it is also raining. And we find the patriot is being taken to the gallows and whole situation is gloomy, tension. Flowers were thrown in the beginning. He received flowers in the beginning. Now what is he receiving? He's receiving stones. And why does his forehead bleed? Because of the stones thrown by the people. It's strange to see how people are throwing stones, because 1 year back, just 1 year back, he was welcomed very warmly. A warm welcome was given to him. The people have turned against him. Nobody is there to support him. Now, when we see the whole situation, we feel sympathy, pity for this patriot, because he was considered a hero in the beginning, and now he has fallen so low. In 1 year time, there's a lot of change, and he feels that he has done something wrong. Therefore, he is being punished. And this disappoints him so much. He's disappointed. Where he was to be appreciated for what he has done, now we find that he is being punished at this situation in this 1 year's time. The people, the folk, have their own way of judging things. All people follow the same. Nobody thought about his good deeds. And it's very disappointing that they all have planned to punish him, and he's being punished. Stones are thrown at him. We find that the common people are very hard-hearted. They don't try to evaluate people completely. Only if you do one small mistake, you cannot punish the person completely like that. But who is there to analyze such things? Who is there to bother about such things? So we move to the last stanza of this poem. Thus I entered, and thus I go. In triumphs, people have dropped down dead, paid by the world. What dost thou owe? Me, God might question. Now instead, it's God shall repay. I am safer so. Thus I entered. The patriot entered like this 1 year back, just like a hero. Thus I go, and 1 year later, the patriot is being taken to the gallows to be executed. So, in the rain, the patriot is heading towards the gallows with his hands tied at the back. He had entered the city in such a grand manner. He was given a grand welcome. He was hero worshipped. He was treated like a hero. They all gave him a warm welcome. Now, in the same streets, he is walking in humiliation, just like a criminal, a convict. In triumphs, people have dropped down dead. Now, the victorious hero, the triumphant hero, has fallen now. Paid by the world, what dost thou owe? He is being punished for its deeds by the people in this manner. He feels if he had died a year ago. At times, it so happens when we are excessively happy, also they may get a heart attack. People may die. So, if he had died like that, he would not have owed anything to God. But now, he has not got any rewards from his countrymen. All whatever praises and claps and applause and welcome and all that, what was shown to him, all that is lost. But he doesn't get disappointed completely. He feels optimistic. Who feels? The patriot. He feels optimistic that he will be rewarded by God in the heaven. If not by the people, at least God knows. God is a true judge. In this way, he feels that he will be in the lap of God, where he would be safer. Who would be safer? The patriot would be safer. His real repayment will be done by God. God will repay him properly. He has complete faith in God. He knows personally, he feels that I have not done any mistake. And God also knows it. These people may change, but such a thing will not happen to God. The Almighty is just and fair. Therefore, he will be in safe hands, the hands of God. He will not have to face such punishment which he doesn't deserve. He is suffering presently, for which he feels he did not do any mistake. But the people felt and they have punished him. But there, in front of God, he will not have to face such undeserving punishment anymore. He will be surely rewarded for his deeds. So this is the concluding stanza of the poem. And the poet feels that how he was just like a hero, welcomed, or he entered the city just like a celebrity. Now he is leaving it with humiliation and insult. We also come to know about the religious beliefs of the patriot. That reflects in the last two lines of the poem. It tells what he feels after life also. What are his feelings? What will happen after life? Although the whole poem seems to be tragic, but there is a tone of optimism also in this. He may not receive any kind of rewards in this world, but he will surely be rewarded in the other world, he feels. So, the poets, not only patriots, through Patriot, the poet expresses his optimistic philosophy of life. He feels that he will not be punished like this as he is punished here. So, in this poem, who is I? I stands for patriot. Don't write Robert Browning. He is only the poet. But here, the patriot is speaking. How do you evaluate his entrance and exit, the patriots? His entrance was like a triumphant leader. His exit is like a traitor. We find that people have reacted in two extreme ways in the poem. When he was victorious, people were even willing to give him son, which is an impossible thing. When he fell down from the grace, people threw stones. When he did something wrong, people started throwing stones at him. And later he was hanged also. The the patriot feels in triumph, people have dropped down dead. What does he mean there? He means that at times it may so happen that a man may also collapse out of excessive joy, and the same thing can happen to him. And many times, who were successful in their lives, later they have fallen from grace and they also have lost their lives. That also has happened. So, uh, here the poet speaks about two types of two systems of justice. The one system of justice is that of the world, and the other is the justice of God after death. And he trusts God. He believes that he has not committed any moral offense. So please don't create any kind of disturbance, children. He will not have to face any undeserving punishment. He doesn't deserve that punishment what was given to him. So this kind of punishment he doesn't have to face there in front of God. And surely he will be truly and justly rewarded for his acts and deeds. So we find the poem ends with a tragic note. It's a kind of tragedy. And each one of us personally feel sympathetic for the patriot because from a high position he has fallen down, and a sudden death also. Though his life is short, we find he the little time which he lived in this world, he was happy for some time, but because of the cruelty in the world, he leaves the world with the hope that God would do justice to him. We need not consider death end of everything in this world. There is also an optimistic note. We feel that God will surely reward us for what we do. So, we come to know about the nature of the public. What is the public opinion? What is hero worship? The people who lift you to the skies will also pull you down. They'll put you in the ditch. Who is the patriot? The name of the patriot is not mentioned here, and we are not aware of his name. When the patriot was in power, he only tells how he served the people, served his country, and he made all the possible efforts to serve the people. The poem begins with the past tense, isn't it? And the speaker, the poet, tells us how people loved him, what he received from the society. And from the fourth stanza, we come to the present situation, and that is in the present tense, and we come to know what is happening presently in this at that time, where he was given a warm welcome when he came to the town. People threw roses, myrtles to greet him, just like a star, a hero. They decorated the church spires with bright flags. There were hundreds and thousands of people waiting to see him. Rooftops were full of people. They just wanted to have a glimpse of him. People were ready to do everything for him, even if necessary to bring the son. They were ready for that also. But everything changed. That was only a past thing. Now, presently, he is being taken to the scaffold for his misdeeds. Nobody on the housetops. Everybody knows that today they can have the best sight of the Patriot only near the gallows, near the foot of the scaffold. Although it is raining, his wrists are tied and he is being dragged. People throw stones at him. His forehead bleeds. What an ill fate a man has to face in his own country. We find towards the end of the poem, this patriot, there is a sense of acceptance and submission to the fate and death also. Even though it's a tragic situation, it's a tragedy, there is an optimistic note at the end of the poem. Death is not the end of everything. This thought that in the next world, surely he would be rewarded. The patriot feels that as I have not received any reward here, next world surely God will reward him and he will be safer in the hands of God. So God is in his heaven and all is well with the world. That philosophy of life we come to know. This title also, The Patriot, seems to be appropriate because he is the speaker. Patriot is the speaker. He narrates his glorious days and also his tragic days, you can say, his humiliating days also. 1 year ago, he was glorified, idolized, worshipped by his own countrymen. And after a year, he is mortified, he is tortured, led to the scaffold to be hanged. Flowers were thrown on his path, but later stones were hurled at him. And the poem tells us a tale of rise and fall of leaders around this globe, how it happens across this globe. So the theme of the poem revolves around the rise and fall of one's fortunes. The same people who lift you up, sometimes to the sky, they pull you down to the dust the next day. Who is worshipped like a hero and celebrated, at the end, the same person is being humiliated as throwing stones at him. Glory and fortune are not forever, that we have to remember. People are fickle-minded. They change their opinion without a second thought. Fickle-minded, they change their mind very fast. The one who loved you in the past is hating you. Those who loved you, those who love you today, they may hate you tomorrow. Betrayal also is another theme of this poem here. And the poet is trying to tell that how a person, impossible things, how it happened. They now stamped him like a criminal, executed him. But if we have trust in God, the hope for justice that we would get justice in the hands of God. This particular thought raises the feeling of the patriot and again brings the spirit of patriotism, optimism in him. More than patriotism, optimism comes. Although it's a tragic ending, but there is optimism in that tragic ending. And his belief in God, that although people are ill treating him now, he will surely be rewarded by God. He finds that he will be safer in the hands of God. The whole poem, if you see, is narrated in the first person account. And it's an irony that the people in the beginning of the poem welcomed him with flowers. Same, they threw stones at him, they hurled stones, and they hanged him. All this happened within a span of 1 year. The poem begins with a cheerful note, cheerful mood. A crowd gathered, trying to have the glimpse of the hero. But it changes. Mood changes slowly. There's nobody on the housetops. And then we realize that the speaker, the patriot, is going to the shambles gate. And his inner cries, his heart cries, he becomes very sad. Walking in the rain, he feels so depressed. We feel sorrow. This whole situation creates a sorrowful mind. And we feel, at least towards the end, there's a positive note that he will be in the safer hands of God. And here we find that the roses and the myrtles which were thrown on his path reflect the love that the speaker receives from the public. Same way, the beautiful church spires, the swaying crowd on rooftops, all these things are very nicely explained to us in the poem. A good visual picture is given to us. And we also find the rhyming scheme of the poem is ABABA. As I have already told you how to get the rhyming scheme. If you see the first line of the first stanza, way, mad, sway, had, day. Way, sway, day, AA you will give, and mad, had you will give BB. So in that is way, each sound is given one letter. And in this way we see the poem ends in a sad note. It's a tragic poem. And the rose symbolizes the welcome with respect and honor and passion. Myrtle symbolizes purity, love, innocence, and generosity. Spires symbolize hopeful gestures and strength. Sun stands for something which is unreachable or beyond access. So we come to the end of the poem. Bye for today.